Items for review and discussion. Item 1, animal control policy.
I did not create this PowerPoint. I think it's awesome. These are great photos. This was built by Lieutenant Mary Brugge and ACO Brad Wicklander in the back of the room. And they're actually here for my support and any questions that you might have that I don't know. And so this is a guide that we provide to our dispatchers on how to handle animal control calls. And a lot of times our ACOs are working, and then there are times when they're off, and we'll kind of go into it. We have patrol shifts working 24/7. Right now, we have a sergeant and a corporal and 4 officers, 6. Our minimum staffing level is 4. So at any one point, the minimum number of officers on the street are 4. Our ACOs, our animal control officers, there are 2 of them, and we recently moved them to 12-hour shifts to mirror our patrol shifts. But they work from 7A to 7P, so 7 in the morning to 7 at night. And I will say that a lot of times during certain seasons, they are taking calls probably all the way up until 7 p.m. and sometimes staying over until later, and they are dedicated. And so the purpose of this, like I said, is what we provide our dispatchers when citizens call and ask for animal control services. And we'll outline a couple of scenarios. The one thing that over and over, we try to provide clear communication, but also we want to respond appropriately and maximize our resources. The role of an animal control officer is to manage animal-related situations, ensure welfare, enforce animal laws. Their expertise is critical in resolving these issues effectively, and they go to certain levels of ACO training that the state provides. And so, in fact, we have one ACO that is moving through her certifications right now. And so some of these guidelines you'll be familiar with. The importance of appropriate dispatching is that we first have to understand what the nature of the call is, because that's vital to how we would mobilize whatever response on the back end. When it comes to large animals, when an ACO is not on duty, if a citizen actually finds a domesticated animal, they can take it into their custody. They can release it and hope that it returns home. Sometimes this does happen. I think the majority of the time, sometimes these animals are actually in the neighborhood and they know where the animal belongs and they just want to let us know. Sometimes they will hold it until an ACO is on duty. This is a lot of times they'll keep it in their garage until an ACO comes on in the morning. They can post it on Belton Lost and Found Pets. This is one of the things about our city that is very unique, is that we have a citizens page where people can take a picture of a dog and we can quickly find out where that dog might be. Or they can request that a patrol officer come and scan the animal. A lot of times these animals might be found in extreme weather conditions like extreme cold or extreme heat. And we want to make sure that those animals are well taken care of, and we can actually dispatch an officer, come there, scan the animal. I would say the majority of the time they actually do have a chip, and we're able to locate and take the animal back to the owner. Sometimes we actually scan the animal and we don't have one, and that's when we would take it to Wayside Waves, which is our contracted facility. We differ from some of the other cities around us, like Raymore and Lee Summit. They have their own animal control facility that they operate, but we have a great relationship with Wayside Waves, and where we can take animals and have them housed there, and they do assessments on them and then wellness checks. They can follow up on health care. They can even, if they can keep on trying to contact the owner, and we do that as well. When an ACO is not on duty, though, there are situations where dispatch uses this call guide on how to manage that kind of response. It might be something involving wildlife. We are not educated on how to interact with wildlife. And so we typically tell people just to leave the animal alone. A lot of times, these animals may be hurt, they may be sick, but the thing is even with the Missouri Department of Conservation, they tell us over and over to just let nature take its course. But sometimes we have to interact, and that's why we have contacts with Wildlife Removal Service, or we even have lakeside nature centers as resources. They're not paid for through the city contract, but is an additional source that is a community resource for the entire metropolitan area. Sometimes we actually ask citizens if it doesn't necessitate an immediate police response to leave a voicemail for the ACOs, and they will actually come in, listen to those. A lot of times we'll have calls queued for them where they will then go handle them and knock them out before calls for service begin that day. Again, I want to stress that if there are urgent matters, then we will dispatch police officers over to take care of those calls for service. Some of the things that we look at when there's a need for an police officer when an ACO is not working is that there is an injured animal. There's an animal posing a hazard to citizens. Maybe it's aggressive, growling. Maybe it is bitten, dangerous situation. Yes, we will get involved in those. Domestic animals under adverse conditions, like I said before, extreme heat, extreme cold. Yes, we will be involved in that. Sometimes people even bring those animals to the station. That's always helpful because then we can get the scanner and then scan it right then.
Hey, sorry. Real quick on that topic, because I've seen this before, and I don't know what our laws or codes are on this, regarding animals that are, hey, I'm running to the grocery store and I left my pet in the vehicle. What is our official city stance on that?
Yes, there is. That is a situation where the animal would be in a hazardous condition. We would dispatch a police officer. ACOs go on those calls. Only police officers have the authority to actually break the window, to provide, to grab that animal and take it into custody. But we do deal with those situations all the time. We encourage the public to call us.
What if the vehicle's running, that kind of thing?
That is also what we would consider to be a serious condition. I know cars today, we can leave them running, even with a key fob, and no one can take off with them. But it's still a running vehicle. It's creating CO2 gas, and anybody in the vehicle could be overwhelmed by that. But the other thing is those things left unattended is still a problem.
Okay, thanks.
So it's against city ordinance for a dog to be left in a vehicle at any time?
It's not against city ordinance for a dog to be in a
Come up to the microphone, please, sir. So everybody.
For the viewers at home.
Yeah,
I'm
we're,
Officer Brad Wicklander, Belton ACO. It is not against the law for a dog to be in a vehicle. It is against the law for a dog to be in a vehicle in adverse weather.
Okay.
There's no specific temperature for it, but if it is too high or too below freezing, those are the situations we get involved in.
thank you.
One of the questions you might ask is how many calls for service does animal control have every year? And we have some very quick stats in a chart. For 2023, we had about 1,363 calls. Last year, we had 1,432 calls. And it is about half and half. As we've brought on the second animal control officer, police officers handle about half of these calls with the public, which still is amazing. Our animal control officers, as soon as they come on the clock, they're probably the hardest working employees that at the police department when it comes to call after call after call. And it doesn't matter what season it is, it just seems to be steady. And so when we are dealing with these things, that is something operationally that we look at is when we talk about their hours, there might be times when we might ask them to work a little extra late, maybe in the summer times, or we work them maybe on situations where they come in earlier, depending on whatever type of season we're having. When it comes to wildlife in non-living quarters, again, we stress not to interact with that animal because it could be a situation where it's dangerous. They could be sick. But this is animals like bats, raccoons, snakes are typically not a direct threat unless they invade the living quarters. And then we do have, like I said before, we have community resources in Kansas City like the Wildlife Removal Service, Lakeside Nature Center for assistance. When it comes to handling deceased animals, the city does not collect deceased animals from private property unless they're domestic. Sometimes this comes up in regards to a deer on the side of a highway where it is actually on private property. We won't cross over into private property to recover that deer and dispose of it. Callers are advised to either call that removal service or to bag the deceased animal and then place it in the trash and ensure a safe and clean environment. Every once in a while, we get asked with the question of whether we provide burial and cremation services to the public, and we do not. I just wanted to quickly hit our trap, neuter, and release program for cats. That is going strong. You can almost see that we've doubled the amount of animals that we've actually had in the program over the course of the last year. It's an exciting program. I know it's provided a lot of good. It's actually reduced the number of calls that we've had on feral cat colonies. We actually have a great working relationship with several different communities around town. And it has been actually it was the first program that Wayside Waste actually got involved in, and it's been a model for other cities, and they're wanting to expand it, which is, we were on the front part of that and piloted it. And so we have a great relationship with them. Just in closing, in 2023, we expended $43,955 with Wayside Waste on our billing. That includes the TNR program. And then last year it was $47,590. It's about a 13.4% increase in the budget. And we continue to budget that. We're about ready to come up on renegotiating that contract with them. They're a great service to us in this community. They also provide training and other services that a lot of people don't know about or take advantage of. And then once again, this is the name of the Missouri Department of Conservation, the Kansas City Regional Office. The telephone number is there on the screen. And then Lakeside Nature Center. And if you have any questions.
Go ahead.
I'm responsible for trapping 26 cats, so I just say thank you very much. In my ward, in the last just little bit, someone did call and they were referred to Lakeside and they did an awesome job. So they were able to take the rabbits over there. I also I've had several calls about vicious dogs, and I'm telling them to make the report on my Belton. Is that the correct thing to do? Or,
Yeah,
because by the time the officers get there, the dogs are gone. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really kind of know what to say. So.
I'll let Brad answer that directly.
Emergency situations like that are going to be much better handled if they call Belton non-emergency line. That way a dispatcher can get in contact with animal control if they're in the office or the field and immediately dispense them to that location.
Well, I think that's what's been happening, but the
Yeah.
dogs are gone back to where they live. They come in, they're bite and run dogs.
Okay.
So they bite and then run home. So they're not able to catch these dogs. They've got them on Ring cameras and stuff, but I didn't know what to do just to start a chain.
Oh, yeah, they should absolutely be contacting the non-emergency line.
Okay.
And having an animal control come out and relaying that information of where the animal went to, description of the animal.
All right.
And if they have any evidence, that can be emailed to animal control.
Okay.
Then all of those are highly
All right, because
beneficial
this
to
is
us.
kind of a chronic problem that's
Yeah.
happening pretty regularly.
Yeah, no,
so
absolutely, we would
anyhow.
love that information.
Okay, so my Belton would not be the place to do it?
Not for a situation like that. That would
Okay.
be good for like, a barking dog or
Or could
questions
you
or
follow up
something.
with my Belton after they made the call, maybe, something, just so
Yeah,
that-
we should, we
okay.
could. If we
All
had
right.
an email or phone number, that'd be
Okay,
appropriate.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, over the last handful of years since I've been involved up here, animal control and our processes is one of the things that I think has had such a drastic overhaul and improvement, and that's thanks to hard work and staffing up our ACO, but also, Chief Lyons, you've always been super informative and experienced in this, and I hope residents appreciate the improvement of services and responsiveness and more thoughtful program, like TNR allowing that. This is all really great stuff, and I appreciate all the effort that goes into it.
Thank you. I just wanted to say one last thing. This is National Animal Control Officers Appreciation Week. And
Do you have a song for that?
I could try.
Hey, I got a question on raccoons with maybe distemper or different animals with distemper, because they can create a pretty big problem for people.
Yes, sir, this question. Or just that in general?
Yeah, with if you got like a raccoon or something like that, that you can tell has distemper.
Okay, some symptoms of distemper are discharge from the eyes and nose, lethargy, kind of drunken behavior, not having a fear of humans when you approach, or they'll sit in one area and not run away.
Right.
Distemper is almost always terminal for the animal, so it's looking like a euthanasia situation is usually required for that. If an animal control if I was called out and I witnessed that, we would probably relocate that animal to a safe location where we would euthanize it. If you have any sort of like water source outside, such as like a bird feeder or something, I'd recommend sterilizing that with something similar to bleach, just to make sure no other animals are exposed to that. The distemper is highly transmitted for denning animals because they den up next to each other with the physical contact and exchanging of fluids and such. So in early winter and coming out of winter, we see the most of that.
Gotcha. But that's a thing that people should be calling.
Oh, yeah, yeah. If
have them
they're
come
seeing
out and get it,
animals that
yeah.
have symptoms of that, yeah. I
Right.
mean, from everything from potentially a safety hazard, but also if nothing is done, that animal's going to continue to suffer and potentially spread it.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
It is shocking to me I grew up in a small town in the country, and it is shocking to me living in a city like this, the amount of wildlife that we have here. I have had everything from turkeys to beavers to, I don't know, the amount of wildlife in my backyard in the middle of a city is just insane. So I think these resources, specifically MDC and Lakeside Nature Center, are great to know that we're partnered with, and good to get that information out. Because I literally have a nuisance beaver, and that's just not something I would have thought that would be taking place in a city, right? The other thing, so I noticed that the calls, the number on the calls seem to be not like going crazy high, but seem to be trending towards up every year. And I was curious, because I know you said the TNR, the Trap, Neuter, Release program, is helping with that. So is that just because we're a growing city, we're expecting the calls to go up, or can you kind of talk to that? Because I do think it's a great program. I'm just, yeah.
I believe that the TNR program is actually helping slow down those number of calls for service. And the ACOs, they get involved in the TNR program. They work that out in their schedules, and with the groups they work with. And sometimes it's, the people involved in that, the participants, actually are pulling the workload. But that kind of thing is working. And so we would continue those kinds of those kinds of programs. We're also doing a vaccination clinic. We have one coming up here very soon, and we're trying to partner with Wayside Waifs on other things, and when they come out, they can promote animal safety. But I think altogether, that is a reflection of a community that is growing, And the other thing is that it's working well. We do make mistakes, and we always assess our programs and our chart and the way we do business, and we try to change those practices. We're always trying to be on the front side of that. But we have a great community that's very patient with us as we work through those issues. But I think we're getting to the point to where our program is really rolling.
I was not trying to suggest it was a mistake. Correlation does not equal causation, right? But I just wanted to kind of, think about it from a numbers standpoint, was just trying to understand it a little better. So, but thank you. I do think that's a good program, and it sounds like it's good to hear that it's working.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.